We have a special guest joining us, Tripp Family Medicine, Better Health with Tripp Family Medicine, and of course, what we've done is I won't call him a pinch hitter. He's actually sort of the coach, but Dr. Jonathan Tripp is in studio with us because physician assistant Russell Singleton had a bit of a tie-up this morning. It's coming up on 8:45 at our studios. You're listening to News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Bill Colley also here. Doctor, I was going to say it's one of those. It's not unusual. It seems in life you're always getting some sort of curveball.
Yeah,
One of those popped up today.
sure did. Our physician assistant Russell, about 5 minutes before arriving here, he was going to do the show today on medical weight loss, and got rear-ended on his way here. We think it was on Blue Lakes, and Bill has an interesting deja vu moment to tell us about on that.
I was at the office visiting with the doctor and Russell a few weeks ago, and you told me that Blue Lakes Boulevard was the worst street in the state for accidents.
I think that's true.
And so I've become a much more attuned to driving on Washington if I'm going to that end of town for that reason.
Yeah. Nope. Well, if that's where the accident occurred, and I can't be too clear, that's proof that even once in a while I'm right.
You get a lot of, this is an opportunity to talk a little bit about some of the specialty you have to do in these situations because medical issues, and he's fine, we should point that out, but medical issues do pop up sometimes unexpectedly, and accidents pop up unexpectedly. See, coming to the doctor and saying, I have a cold, I already know I have a cold.
Right.
But someone, oftentimes these things happen and they're just spur of the moment and you've got an issue.
And you've got major plans surrounding whatever you're doing, and you need to be fixed right away. And sometimes we can, as you say, pinch hit and figure things out and make it all work. And other times, the only real cure is time. So medicine, if it's emergency, we do everything we can. I had a little bit of fun this weekend with a group of teenagers where we had an injury and required me to be doing stitches and at about 11 p.m. on Saturday night. So there's all kinds of fun that happens in medicine, whether it's at home or at work.
And it's a 24/7 job for you, obviously.
It is. I try to, I eliminated OB from my practice years ago because I wanted to go home sometime. But medicine by its nature is not according to the clock.
I remember many, many years ago being at a basketball game where someone had a sudden medical issue in the stands and 4 or 5 doctors just suddenly were there, pronto. But again, even in your downtime, there's no downtime, so to speak.
There is an expectation when you enter medicine that you'll be available whether you're on the clock or not. And so I do understand that not everybody wants to be a hero on the ball field or on the basketball court, but more frequently than not, when there's an injury, faces that know you're a physician look to the stands to say, hey, are you coming down to check this out? So that happens, and we do a fair amount of sports medicine, so that's an area, or an arena that I'm comfortable with as well.
Now, Russell will spend some time with us next week talking about weight loss, which was going to be the subject today.
Actually, next week is going to be a lot of fun. Isn't that April Fool's? We have,
it is.
we have some fun topics, things, what not to fool with on April Fool's. So we have a wide range of topics, but we will definitely get the medical weight loss topic back in quickly because I know he's prepared and has some really good things to talk about. There are some new advances in recent medicines that have come out on the market, some that have been out for a year or two that now their cost effectiveness has become more reasonable. And a lot of these are not stimulant based, and in the past there's really been a very limited choice, and there is some health concerns with most of the medical weight loss medicines that we've used up until recently. But we have Russell has a well prepared discussion on that for us.
We want to point out, if you'd like to reach the doctor while he's in the studio with us today, you can give us a telephone call, 736-0300. That is 736-0300. And he's very gracious in his time and willing to take your telephone calls and to do his best. If he can't give you the direct answer today, he can refer you somewhere, obviously, where you can get more details or more information. We should also point out your office is a growing practice, and you're always looking for people, too, as well, to join that practice.
We are. We're looking for mid-level practitioners, either a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant, as we continue to grow. This week is spring break, and we had very limited people scheduled, and have just nearly filled up every day as we go, and that's been very exciting because a lot of those people are new patients or people that have spur of the moment issues. So we're always looking for nursing staff as well as a practitioner or two because we're growing so rapidly, and that is really exciting. And I was telling a nurse that we were interviewing yesterday, I said, I think the biggest difference is this is a place you come and you find out it's a friendly atmosphere, it's a nice atmosphere, and we actually get you in if you're sick or you're hurt same day or the next day, and that's our commitment to keep doing that.
I was going to say we should point out too as well that we're pretty well, I would think, through the flu season, the flu and cold season. But springtime always brings up, I guess, its own issues. Allergies will start to rise with people and other things like that. And of course, I lived on a mountaintop years ago in near the Catskills, and I can remember at the time, I never thought I had allergies until I lived out there with all the wildflowers, and I had to move after a year. I just couldn't stand it any longer.
Just too beautiful for you, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, let me just, people say, well, where is this new practice? And it's really not new. We've been here for about 3 years right now. It's across from the North Side Post Office on Fillmore, getting up to where Winco and other shopping is up on the north end. The website is trippfamilymedicine.com. We're also on Facebook at Tripp Family Medicine. And our phone number that you can call is 208 933 4400. And we'd be happy to take any calls. I will talk a little bit about some preventative issues, screening exams to help us keep out of trouble. And
Well, of course, you're talking about this time of year too, and people, uh, they're getting out there more active, and maybe they're going to feel something that they didn't feel during the winter. I read the other day a study that said that, and I hate this because I'm a big coffee drinker, but it said that coffee drinkers may be more subject to things like bladder cancer and the like, but screenings, men should be getting screened for all sorts of issues past the age of 50. And I think about the fact that some people don't, and if you don't, and sometimes it's too late to catch it once it's actually found.
yeah, there's several screenings. If we talk about men, they get off lucky until they're about 50. It used to be at age 40, but about 2 years ago, several of the guidelines were changed regarding prostate cancer and colon cancer. And the big screening that men fear is a 10-second, embarrassing but only 10-second exam that is what they call a rectal digital exam. We're checking two cancers at that time. One is a screening for colon cancer. We're looking for hidden blood in the stool. And the other is the actual prostate to see if it's enlarged or has irregularities. Because prostate cancer is a slow growing cancer, but often has no symptoms. But the symptoms that people typically would see would be decreased urinary stream, or actually having trouble urinating, or getting up frequently during the night, more than 2 or 3 times to have to urinate. So those are some symptoms. The colon cancer really doesn't have much in the way of any symptoms. Sometimes people at the end will see black or bloody stools, but the recommendation there is a colonoscopy, which is a camera that checks your whole colon. It's a procedure usually done by either a general surgeon or a GI doctor. Some family practitioners do perform that exam. I don't, but happy to make sure those screenings happen. And you begin those at age 50 unless you have a family history of colon cancer that should start at about age 40. But that's an every 10-year exam. So once every 10 years to make sure that you don't die of something you don't need to die of is really
It allows you to spot the polyps or anything else that might be there. And I had an uncle at 68. He went to the doctors with my aunt, and he collapsed in the lobby, and it was discovered that he had developed colon cancer. And as you said, you don't notice it right away.
wow.
And he was dead within a few weeks. So
That
screening is obviously critical.
yeah, and it is preventable. It is not a quick growing cancer. That's why if the colon is clean, it's see you later. We'll see you in 10 years and try again. It's very similar to what I do with skin cancer and precancers, where we can see the precancers. We do an overview. We can do something as simple as freezing those, and then they never get a chance to turn into a cancer. With colon cancer, the polyps are like that precancer, that if they identify them, remove them, even if they're trying to become cancer, it's a done deal. The procedure's over, and you may need a colonoscopy more quickly, meaning 3 to 5 years. But the reality is you've now averted a life-threatening cancer.
Dr. Jonathan Tripp is in the studio with us, of course, from Tripp Family Medicine. This is Better Health with Tripp Family Medicine, 854-36 at our studios. Bill Colley with you on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Now, there are some people out there who I'm sure are listening, and they're just uncomfortable with the notion of a lot of these tests. I've had all of them done, but a lot of people out there probably feel it's too intrusive. And I also had a coworker. She died 15 years ago from breast cancer because she ignored it, because out of fear. And unfortunately, the alternative to that fear was death. And obviously, we'd like to try to give people a good, healthy, long life.
I think it's just human nature, at least it's my nature, to avoid anything that's intrusive, anything that's a threat. I mean, I'm a physician, and I have fear of needles, so I've learned ways to make shots not hurt. But on a colonoscopy, all I can tell you is they will give you medication that you will probably not remember a thing about it. And that's part of the beauty of anesthesia and the medicines they use during that procedure. It's not general anesthesia, but it's enough that you don't remember much about that experience. The rectal exam, all I can say is it's 10 seconds. It takes more to get through the anxiety of getting to the exam than actually doing it. And once it's done, you're done for a year.
Doctor one time put a little vial down on a table in front of me before the colonoscopy, and he said, this will be like drinking 10 martinis. And I said, I've never drank 10 martinis. He said, that's good because it'll knock you out. I thought that was probably a good analogy of what might happen. But again, it was over with, and they wheeled me to the door. A friend picked me up, and just this quick procedure. It was over with in a matter of probably from the time I arrived until the time I left the recovery room. It was over with probably in an hour.
That is probably true. I thought you were going to say it was over within 10 minutes, and I thought that medicine was really good.
Yes. And then I went to a restaurant, and I sat down and ate practically everything on the menu because of that fasting you do before all of that. Well, again, for people who are looking at if they'd like to contact you, we had a caller last week who was looking for a new doctor, a new office. You've got people, especially with the growth in this area, who are looking for someone because they have not had a physician, and if they moved here from a long distance like I did, they're looking for someone. And how would they go about getting a hold of you again?
Our phone number is 208-933-4400, and our website is trippfamilymedicine.com, and you can also reach us on Facebook at Tripp Family Medicine. And what I would like to encourage is not only new patients, but anybody listening. I particularly am looking for topics that interest moms or their thoughts about their family or their children. What would you like to hear about as we go forward with these our radio shows on the Wednesday morning at 8:30? It is. I have my own plans, but I would be very open to hitting specific topics that make sense for the people that are listening.
And again, let's get started at 8:20 next week.
Okay.
Because we missed 5 minutes at the beginning of the show today. And what we'll do is we'll give people a little bit more time to listen in, and perhaps if they have a question or comment and the like, they can join in with us. I want to thank you for coming in because I know it was short notice in your situation, but obviously you know the roads around here. You know how to get here safely.
Well, I think Russell knows the roads, but found out that somebody else was a little too close.
Again, Tripp Family Medicine, and we should point out in family medicine, they'll see everybody from infancy well past age 100.
Yes.
And so it's the office will handle just any patient coming through that door, and they are experienced enough to do all of that, and at every stage of life. We have a news break coming up with Fox at 9 o'clock, and then we'll be joined by Chris Talkington from the Twin Falls City Council. That's coming up in just a few minutes. You're listening to Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com.